we've asked you all to gather here today because we want to focus on Tottenham Water's mandate, and that is clean water now. And I don't believe it's too much to ask after so many years of inadequate water quality, that we have certain expectations from our municipality and from the Ontario Safe Drinking Water Act, that we have been denied potable water according to that act. As long as levels and guidelines are exceeded within that act, our water is not deemed potable. And having said that, that actually goes against one of our basic human rights, which is potable water. And under the United Nations, we, just north of Toronto, have been denied this. And by coming forward and discussing our issues openly, we are also opening the eyes of other people in different areas across Canada that are also dealing with issues that are very similar. We may have heard for years about reserves in Canada that have had terrible water issues. And people think, wow, that's very far removed from us. We don't live way, way out in the middle of nowhere in a reserve. Well, nobody deserves crappy water. And as a, basis for life itself, our expectations are the same as everybody, no matter their origins, across Canada and around the world, that we want safe, clean, potable water for our health and for peace of mind. And a little bit about our history. Yes? Oh, yes, please. So, this is Mike. This is Mike Bockwell. He is the campaign manager for the Wellington Water Watchers. And we are so grateful to have him here tonight. He's been quite an asset to Tottenham Water and has, we've been, gifted his time and experience. So here's Mike.
Thanks, Nancy. My name is Mike, as Nancy says. I work for the Wellington Water Watchers. And we're based in Guelph, near Guelph. And we work with community groups like yours who are trying to protect their water or restore their water to be clean. We're a non-profit organization, and we work with leaders in communities like Nancy, Cheryl, and Jessica, and others. And they've asked me to be the chairperson for the meeting tonight, so I'm going to chair the meeting. I think when you came in, you got an agenda. It looks like a bookmark. So I'm just going to review that for a minute. And because I like to be sure that we're all at the same meeting. So the purpose of the meeting tonight is that we're going to present, in a few minutes, Nancy's going to give some background to the issue, and then we're going to have some questions and a question and answer period with you because we think you may have some questions that Nancy and others can speak to. We have a set of demands that the leadership group has brought to you tonight to see if you'll endorse them. There's some actions that we're going to ask you to take in support of those demands and see if who's interested in doing that, and we're going to raise some money to move forward. That's the agenda. That's the purpose of the meeting. How we're going to do that is, as I mentioned, in a couple of minutes, Nancy's going to go into the background, and I think on the way in, you got something that looks like this. And these are kind of a summary of the things Nancy's going to say, so you'll have that to take away. And as I mentioned, there'll be a question and answer period after that. Then we're going to present, if you picked up this on the way in, it's got the highlights of the survey. Now, 450 people completed an online survey about water quality in Tottenham. Were you one of those people? Hands up if you completed the survey. Terrific. So this brochure gives some highlights of the survey results. And it also, if you open the fold right there, it says the results are in, it's time to take action, the Tottenham Water demands. So after that conversation about the background and your Q&A, we're going to present those and ask if you support them. Then I'm going to present a bit about strategy, about going forward. How do you meet your demands? I'm going to say a little bit about that. And then we're going to invite David Donnelly. David, wave to the crowd. David Donnelly's a lawyer with Donnelly Law, an environmental lawyer. He's been retained by the Tottenham Water. And he's going to talk about legal strategy going forward. There'll be another Q&A session, so you can ask David any questions you might have about that strategy. Then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the action steps going forward, and we're going to raise some money. We're going to aim to be done by 9:15 at the latest. There will be time off for good behavior. One more time, are we all at the same meeting? Yes? All right. Okay, so, Nancy, I wasn't sure if you wanted to introduce the head table. And then it's over to you for your presentation.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? So I am Nancy McBride, and I am the co-founder of Tottenham Water. This is Cheryl Schmidt, also co-founder of Tottenham Water. We have a special guest. This is Mr. David Donnelly, who is an environmental lawyer and has a great reputation. And this is Morgan, I forget your last name, sorry. Fletcher, right, Fletcher. And what exactly you are? Articling student with Mr. Donnelly. Then we have one of our members. This is Jessica Jarvis. Sorry, I'm in a brain fart. And she is a member of Tottenham Water and is actually a chemistry teacher, high school teacher, which has been very beneficial to us in researching issues. And of course, we have Mr. Mike Boghill from the Wellington Water Watchers. So, and another one I wanted to introduce is Danny. And how do you pronounce your name? Lindemood. Didn't want to mess that up. And it was thanks to Danny that she took all of the information that was in the water survey and did a remarkable job in this presentation, taking a look at what all of our answers mean. And I've said over and over again that, boy, if it was up to me, I'd say question 1, 75 people said yes, and 100 said no. So you put it together in an incredible way. So if you get the opportunity, you may have seen it online, or if you'd like to purchase one for $5 for a donation, that they're available to look through. Okay, so that's everybody. And you'll see other people with blue shirts around, and those are also members of Tottenham Water. So as I said, I first learned about the word trihalomethanes, and from that point on, Cheryl and I met online and realized that we were both really interested in creating awareness, because we didn't know. We didn't know, and nobody that we knew about the invisible stuff in our water. We've known for ages that some of us in town have groundwater occasionally, all the time. Some have silt, some have, green, some have, the chlorine smell when you turn on your tap and it's like a swimming pool. We've all had different issues depending on the area of town that we're in. So we've known about iron, and we learned about trihalomethanes. For those that don't know, trihalomethanes, also known as THMs, occur when you add chlorine to water with organic matter. And apparently in our case here in Tottenham, our wells have issues with ammonia, bromide, and methane. Methane being the organic matter part, correct, Jessica? You correct me if I'm wrong at any point. And so when that mixes, we have, people are trying to get rid of E. coli because the Ontario Safe Drinking Water Act 2002 came out 2002, and there were new guidelines trying to prevent a walker death. And in our research, we found that the Ontario Safe Drinking Water Act is fabulous for trying to prevent issues with things like E. coli. So short-term illness, when people get really sick really fast. And, so the guidelines for that are great, and people will know, oh, don't touch the water, there's advisories, etc., because it's an instant reaction. People are getting sick. But in Canada, with Canada's drinking water guidelines, it says that it doesn't matter if there's a long-term health issue as a result of, trying to prevent short-term issues. So, we don't have filtration, so what do? We add chlorine, because chlorine's going to kill everything. Maybe. Short-term illness, it's going to kill things like, different bacteria and viruses, and that's fabulous. But you can't keep adding more and more chlorine to fix our issue, because chlorine has issues of its own. Nobody here would drink a tub of it, that's for sure. And even in small amounts, we do it to clean our water. This idea of adding chlorine came about in 1900, turn of the last century. And my thoughts are that things have actually come a long way since then. And so, areas, our water, the chlorine added to our water has been up to 10 times. We've used 10 times the amount of chlorine as surrounding areas, trying to combat the issues with organic matter. And so, that means that our trihalomethanes spike up. How do you prevent that? Well, not by adding more chlorine, and not by ignoring the issue. So, in 2003, Tottenham's trihalomethane levels first went above 100. 100 is like the maximum level. And so I'm not going to use the micro and the milligrams and all that stuff. Just know 100 is the maximum. And we don't actually want to be anywhere near that level. And not even for, a short time. A long time is really not good for us. There's all sorts of health issues, including we've got liver, kidney disease and cancer, breast cancer, skin disease, rashes, issues. We have colon cancer, people are experiencing hair loss. So all sorts of bladder cancer is probably the biggest one. And we don't know exactly how many people have these issues, or if we've got them, whether they're related to the water or not. We don't know this for a fact. And that's an issue because we've been in contact over these years with our MP, our MPP, Public Health, Ministry of the Environment, and Ministry of Health. We've tried to reach out to everybody. And unfortunately, when the Water Master Plan came into effect for Tottenham, for New Tecumseth, I had some issues with it because Collingwood has yet to provide enough water to send to us. And the recommended solution for Tottenham's water issue is a pipeline. So there was a pipeline originally built because Honda needed water. It wasn't because of the residents, it was because of Honda. Let me be clear about that. And so a pipeline was built, and money was given from the province to assist in building this pipeline to bring clean water that did not disrupt the parts and the manufacturing with Honda. Now, some of you may know that Flint had an issue, and they also had issues with THMs. And the car companies switched back very quickly to Detroit water because the river water and the way they were treating it was terrible for manufacturing. So priority for government appears to be manufacturing and business. So they built this pipeline to Elliston, and they stopped. And at this time, Beaton was trying to get a grip on their water issues, and they built the McKelvey well and water system. And that failed, and they went on a boil water advisory. And so the town went, we're going to truck this pipeline down to Beaton, that will solve the issues, and we will let the people of Tottenham know that the pipeline is coming. Now, when I moved here in 2000, I saw the issues with our water, and I would ask neighbors, and they would say, I'd say, what's with the color? And they'd say, oh, it's just iron, everything's okay, so don't worry about it. The pipeline is coming. And that was when I moved here. And so every time anybody said anything about the water, we would all say to each other, the pipeline is coming. So we've heard that for now going on 2 decades. And we're still hearing that. So when I found out that the agreement had not been made in all of these years to get more water from Collingwood to Elliston to Beaton and then to us, I went, that's not really going to be a solution for us. So on one of the handouts, you'll see my attempt at an explanation. So Honda gets better water than the rest of Elliston. Elliston is running out of water, and so can't get any more quantity, and they're mixing with wells. Beaton doesn't have any wells because none of that worked. So mixed water, Collingwood mixed with the wells, which I was told by council in 2016 at the Water Master Plan displays that, man, they had terrible water too. So just wait. The pipeline's coming. And it was an angry discussion. So the water gets mixed, and then what they want is what little water that is left, because quantity is an issue for Elliston and Tottenham, they want to send that to us, and they want to mix that with our cruddy water. So to me, that's not a solution. We have paid the same amount for our water as Elliston and Beaton for 2 decades. We're the same town, so to tell us that is fine, and you need to be quiet, don't cause a fuss, because, we'll shut you down, is absolutely ridiculous. We're one town, and we have never had that amount. Oh, I could go on for hours, Mike, you know I could. He's my guide.
So, I'm going to turn the microphone with you, Nancy. So, I think Jessica's got something important she'd like to say about
Please, yes.
the control line and the pipeline.
She does.
Okay. Please.
So I have been reading a lot of water reports, and some of the information that is available in the 2016 Water Master Plan, in the appendices that the town provided to the engineers, included a breakdown of the exact types of THMs that we had in our water. And we have the unique situation of having bromide present. It is naturally in high levels. No one really knows why. And that's a problem for us because bromine can be part of these THMs. And when you start introducing bromine, it becomes more and more concerning because there is not much research done on bromine-containing THM. And the research that has been done in limited amounts suggests that it's actually more harmful than the chlorine-containing THM, the most common one, which is what the standard of 100 is based off of. So when we see that the breakdown of our water is normally bromine-containing THM in significantly higher amounts, in fact, the chlorine-containing ones are normally less than 10 out of that 100, that is an issue because nobody really knows the effect of that. And so if we have been waiting 15 or 20 years, and you can residents of this town drinking the water or bathing or showering in it, then you could have been exposed to even more harmful chemicals than what that standard is based off of. So I think that's really one of the main issues is many of you who have been long-time residents have been exposed to chemicals that we don't know the harm that they can cause. And even if there is a pipeline and we do mix water, what Tottenham's water contributes is mainly unknown, harmful, potentially worse carcinogens than just the chlorine-containing chloroform THM. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. In 2 minutes, we're going to open this up. In 2 minutes, we're going to open this up for questions, but I think there's one more thing Nancy needs to speak to, which is aeration an adequate solution for the problem?
So we've been given the opportunity to install aeration. It would appear that this is sort of a knee-jerk reaction to people being concerned about our water. Very briefly, I just wanted to address that. I know that, counselors and others online have been letting people know that there's this one person who has stopped clean water from coming to Tottenham. Well, that one person is me, apparently. And let me just be clear. I'm not that powerful. Because if I was, we'd have clean water right now. And all I did was something that was my right because I did not believe that the pipeline was the solution. And the Ministry of the Environment asked me if I wanted to do a Part 2 order, and I said, what the heck is that? And they said it was asking about an independent, individual environmental assessment on our water. And I went, hell yeah, I don't know what our issues are exactly with the water. So the ministry took about 14, 16 months, something like that, to come back and say, everything's okay, the pipeline is coming. So there's been meetings with public health, there's been meetings with the Ministry of the Environment, and then we had a meeting in April, and many of you heard about it or had attended, and they said that this meeting was going to cost $13,000. That was it, yes, the price tag for that April 2nd meeting was $13,000. And when I asked what that was for, 10 grand went to their consulting firm, which was R.V. Anderson, to look into how to lower trihalomethanes. But our water's been safe. Our water has been fine, apparently, and this is what we're told. Then why did we have to spend $800,000 on an aeration system that isn't proven to work? And so, it's still in the testing phase, and you got to understand that every day trihalomethane levels will change. And what's supposed to happen is that the levels and numbers from the furthest away from our reservoir and from where they add the chlorine, the numbers furthest away are what is important because the longer chlorine is in contact with organic matter, the higher trihalomethanes numbers go. And so the ministry said, you know what, we better start testing some other places other than Nolan Road by the high school, just across. And they said, you know, start testing them. And what we found was Pierce Place and Martin Trail had the highest with, you know, 130, 140 parts per billion. And remember, the level is 100, and we had our medical officer of public health tell us that we don't want to be anywhere near that level of 100. That's the maximum, and we don't want to be near that. Now let's compare to Alliston and Wheaton. Between 30 and 40 over the last couple of decades. That's their number for trihalomethanes. And ours has been 11 out of 15 years, we're above 100. So to then say, let's try this untried solution and hope for the best, because it looks like we're doing something fabulous. But guess what it doesn't do? It doesn't do anything for the iron. It doesn't do anything for the color. And as much as people will tell you, doesn't matter, it's just iron. There are health issues that could be associated with iron bacteria. And so it will not help us with the iron. And so therefore, it is not the answer to our water issue.
Okay, stay right here, Nancy. So, in summary, as I've heard this be described, for 11 of the past 15 years, the THM levels have exceeded the national standard. As Jessica has said to us, there are questions about the bromide. Did I say that right? Or bromide. And that raises, I'm not going to try and restate what she said, but it raises additional questions in terms of what people are exposed to, because the THMs that you're exposed to by the bromide has additional risks. So there's a big question about what the community has been exposed to for all these years. Nancy and others with Tottenham Water are saying the pipeline is not the solution. The pipeline will not bring you clean water. And the aeration system that has been installed has not going to adequately reduce THM levels and doesn't address the other issues. And the point she was making at the end is that the aeration system at the reservoir reduces the THM level at the reservoir, but as the water travels from the reservoir to the pumping station near your home, it's exposed to more chlorine and the THM level increases. So the THM level is here and is reduced by aeration to here. As the water travels to your house, the THM level increases. That's the situation. We're going to open it now for some question and answers. After that, we're going to propose a plan of action. We'd like to just pause now for any questions you might have. David over here has a microphone that he can wander around with and bring to you if your voice isn't loud enough. And we're going to do our best to answer as many questions as we can for a while. If you're from a business that treats water and you'd like to make a proposal on how to do that, this is not the time to tell us. That's not what this part of the meeting is about. Right here is the question right here. Please stand up and tell us your question.
If what you're saying that the pipeline is not the solution and neither is the aeration, what is the solution?
That's an excellent question. And that's one of the reasons we're all here. I don't have the exact answer. What I wanted with the Part 2 order was to investigate the water and the issues that are within it. We know that the PMC plant, that land is contaminated. We know that we have issues with the aerodrome and PCBs, etc., in the water or in the soil. We have, rumors of things happening in industry around here, and we're not sure what's actually happening with our water. And what I wanted was an investigation into our water and independent experts to assist us with the solution, because adding more chlorine, and this pipeline is not, it's not adequate. So we're hoping to come up with some answers to that.
But is some kind of filtration at source a solution?
Thank you. I would assume that filtration at source is a great idea. We don't have filtration, we just add chlorine, and so filtration actually would assist with the accumulation of iron. It would assist with trihalomethanes levels, and it would lower our chlorine use. So this is something that I feel that should be investigated at least. I know that I've been told can't do wells, and yet I was told by the mayor that they're digging wells. They're digging wells in all around New Tecumseth and apparently here in Tottenham. So not using our wells doesn't seem to be the solution. So I would assume that filtration at the source would be an answer. What kind that is, we would need assistance with this.
Other questions? Right there. Please stand up.
Does a house filtration system, does it work?
Another excellent question. Okay, the question was, does house filtration work? Well, from what I've seen online and discussed with other people, everyone seems to be using, different kinds of filtration. Some people use a Brita, others have, spend $1,000 on something at their tap. They have something in 10 grand. I've heard 15 grand people using, and even those are limited in how long they work for. So once again, we're not sure exactly what the best solution is, but let me tell you, us spending thousands of dollars to try and get clean water when it is the municipality's responsibility to provide that for us, it's not a good enough answer.
I have a two-part question. First, where does our water come from presently? And second, with the new subdivisions coming in, what is the agreement with the builders as to their supply of water?
So everybody in Tottenham that has municipal water gets it from 4 different wells. There are 2 in Coventry Park, and there are 2 on Wacom. And so we get them from the wells. I know that people were told by builders and by developers that, oh, you get it from another municipality, you get it from different wells, everything's okay. No, we all get the same water. And so developers, I don't know how much they know. I don't know whether they've discussed anything with the municipality about water quality. But I know that everybody should know about our water.